get a notice that you're recorded.
So with
All
that,
right.
I'm supposed to, oh, okay.
Oh, here, I'll give you a little introduction. So, all right, Chelsey is a member of our Ranch Right team. And I have known Chelsey and her husband, Jordy, for quite a few years. We met through Bud Williams, I think, originally, right? And
Yeah,
Bud and Eunice Williams. Yeah, at the Bud Summit down in Missouri. And she, since being a member of our team, has undergone a few major life changes, like having a baby and moving from Canada to Texas and then to Oklahoma, and trying to figure out what she is going to do with her life. And one thing that's been wonderful, Chelsey brings a ton of real big business accounting experience to our firm. She is a Canadian CPA, worked in a large practice, a big, you're a Big 10 firm in Canada, right? And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Anyway, and so has this sort of real heavyweight background. And one of the fun parts about Chelsey is that she's gotten really interested in sort of client behavior and what makes a good client, what makes a client struggle, that sort of thing. And so we have been trying to put that into action. And she actually initiated this conversation, which was thrilling to me, about, essentially how do we help our clients be more successful? How do we take what we know from successful clients and help other people apply it? So we have a new role in our firm that Chelsey is filling called a client integration specialist. She is working with a number of our new clients, and we're still a little experimental in this, but trying to figure out how to help them bring sort of beneficial practices into their ranch business, so that in one part, so we can help them more, and also so their business is more successful. So with that, I will turn that over. Chelsey, if you want to do a little introduction, that would be great. We'll run on from there.
Yeah. Thanks, John. You saved me from, you hit some of the high points and saved me from doing a complete monologue. So I'll maybe just fill in some gaps to it or expand on some of it. So I grew up, like he mentioned, in Alberta. On my family's cow-calf and backgrounding operation. And like John said, I'm a CPA, and in the firm that I worked for, I specialized in agriculture. And throughout my time there, I moved from a role of preparing tax returns and financial statements into working directly in some of our clients' businesses in the controller role. So this is where I started working with Dext and integrating that into our clients' businesses. And as you mentioned, my husband and I made the move to Texas, where we were starting high-risk cattle in a custom feeding grazing operation. And it was during this time that I think it really started to open my mind to there being more than one rigid way of doing things. And that us as accountants needed to maybe be flexible in how, to an extent, in how we got to the results, as long as we got there. Which, I mean, I think as an accountant or bookkeeper, being flexible goes against some of our nature. So, or I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just some life experience I needed. But anyways,
the undertone here is that the accountant married a rancher and saw what it looked like on a daily basis and was like, "This is an absolute shit show. What are you doing?"
Yeah. Where can we meet in the middle here where we don't kill each other? Right. Like, it's maybe what it is. So yeah, in the past 2 years, the Ranch Right team, and like John and I especially, have had a lot of conversations about what's the difference between our client relationships that fully utilize Dext to its fullest potential and those that don't. And this is when it became clear to us that we needed to spend more time helping integrate Dext into our customers' businesses. And when I look back at some of the situations back in Canada, and I mean even through Ranch Right, where maybe the implementation or the use of Dext by our clients wasn't what we would consider successful, a lot of it came back to not taking the time to fully understand just the little intricacies or habits, existing processes that our clients have around record keeping, and how we could best align those with the use of Dext. And so that's kind of where we came up with the client integration specialist role. And really my goal in that role is to help tailor the use of Dext to fit it seamlessly into our clients' businesses. Is there anything you want to add?
Can I add one quick thing, Chelsey?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know if you can see it, a book that we've spent a lot of time talking about. You can't see it, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I think we started a conversation about that around 2 years ago. Accountants as a whole, I'm not saying Chelsey does this, but as a whole, accountants, deal with clients who don't submit receipts and think, oh my goodness, this is because they are people of bad integrity and they don't understand the importance. And they're really, to an accountant, these people are low life scum. And I think what we have both come to is that in fact, that is not anywhere near the case. Most of the time, it is just a matter of, what you've talked a lot about in the past, Chelsea's process, where, you have an existing process. When you come to work with us, we have a process that we think is pretty good. And sometimes we just need to build new habits to get those to come together. It's not a matter of any kind of integrity problem or anything like that. It literally is just a matter of, of a new way of doing things, and that there are often some fairly subtle obstacles to getting those implemented.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I think too, just having conversations around, I'm definitely not the first. I don't know if I'm stealing this from Wally or Bud or whoever, but it's knowing and understanding yourself too, right? Like when you meet with John and he tells you all about Dext in the discovery call and how it's going to change your business, everybody's gung-ho, but we just need, we need to understand you and how you operate, or how people operate, and you have to be realistic with your own expectations of yourself. So with that,
Can I add one other thing?
Yep.
Dext has also become a bit of a leading indicator for us. We have a lot of clients that come on that when they are new begin as a very good Dext user, and the Dext use will sometimes slip over time, 3 or 4, 6 months in. Dext is a bit of a leading indicator for us of our clients' stress or busyness level. And so when we see changes in the pattern of Dext use, particularly a decline, it can often be a good time for us to reach out to the client and say, hey, is something wrong? Are we missing something? Because that, unlike the financials, of course, are a lagging indicator. We spend a lot of time looking for what are the leading indicators. And Dext usage has turned out to us to be a very important customer behavior that will give us a bit of an indication of possible trouble brewing. Also, when we talk about our accounting processes, this is a lead in, and Stan, you've been involved in a lot of conversations about this specifically. This is a lead in to other parts of process that relate to managing the business. Lots of us operate as sole proprietors and think that we are running a business, and you are. But oftentimes when we are trying to build a business, the goal is to get that business to carry us going forward so that we don't have to do all the work. Building processes is a huge part of that. Our accounting process and our processes that drive our interaction with our customers, of course, would be like a little precursor to that, or a little practice round for that, right? So you guys developing a process around Dext on your end is a good parallel and a good practice round for then being able to develop processes with employees, processes with inventory, processes with all of these other systems that operate to build a successful or create a successful business.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, with that, then I guess we'll carry on and actually get to talking a bit more about Dext. I don't know everybody's, I know obviously some of you are existing clients, so you do use Dext, but some of you might not be. So bear with us. Some of it might be repetitive, some of it's new information. But if you don't know, Dext is used to collect, this is the app, the software we use to collect all of your paperwork, like receipts, invoices, statements, your business accumulates throughout the month, or for our staff accountants to organize and categorize. And the software allows clients to provide notes and details about their information that the staff accountant can use to categorize the information accurately, the first time they see it. So it's not, okay, I see this receipt, I have questions, have to ask the client, and can't do anything with this transaction until I hear back. The staff accountants will categorize client information in Dext, which is directly connected to the QuickBooks Online file. And it's nice, especially for us, when we're meeting with clients and they have questions maybe in QuickBooks, something that's come across their report. There's actually in QuickBooks a link to the picture of that receipt that was sent to Dext. So it's not, oh, let me rifle through stuff and figure out what it is. It should be a couple clicks away and you can see the exact receipt. And yeah, I guess with that exact receipt. Is there anything else that you would like to add on to the introduction? Does that capture it, John?
It does. Digital receipts were acknowledged as an appropriate documentation in the mid-90s. This is a place where the IRS was way ahead of its time. And people worry about, well, do I have to keep the paper? You do not. I recommend keeping the paper so that if something fails, you can always rifle through your box and find those things, but that is not the first plan. We do have customers that use Dext and then throw away the receipt, and that is legal.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I also take the conservative stance where I don't spend a lot of time filing it, but maybe just shove it in a 2023 folder or something. And then you have it just in case. So I'm going to give you guys, and sorry, feel free to jump in with questions anytime you want. And I mean, I'm sure we'll answer some at the end if there are any. So why we use Dext, it serves as a secure place for clients to send their financial information to their accountants on a timely basis. It automates data entry for us, which improves our efficiency and allows us to serve clients remotely. Like, it's a pretty exciting thing when John lists off where everybody's from, and we have people in Wyoming, Oklahoma, Georgia, miss some more. Stan, are you in Montana? Oh no, Washington, right? Washington State? Maybe. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. That's pretty amazing to me. So why do we think that it's important that clients utilize Dext? Why are we spending the time with this webinar or the client integration specialist role? So this is something, while we aim to take most of the record keeping off your hands, the information sent in by clients is the foundation of the reports that we provide. So we need timely, detailed information to ensure that you're receiving and using accurate, reliable information to base your decisions on, right? That's the whole reason why you hired us. There was some kind of gap in your record keeping and you felt like you needed to improve upon, right? So that's really I don't know, for me, John, like the biggest thing there is that the more information that a staff accountant receives via Dext throughout the month, the less transactions they need to ask you for clarification on at the end of the month. I think something that's easy to forget when you make the decision to hire an external bookkeeper is that, especially at the beginning, we don't know the detailed history of your business, right? Some of it is second nature to you, but it might take a little bit more time off the bat. I think it takes really little time to scroll down on the receipt what enterprise it goes to, or provide a little bit of detail like, hey, this is for that NRCS project that we're working on and receiving a grant for, right? So just those little details. Anything to add into that, John?
Yeah, there are probably two important statistics here. PASBA, which is the Professional Association of Small Business Accountants, has come up with what I think, Daniel and I have floated this number a lot, what I think is a good estimate. A new client basically takes 5 times as much time as a good vetted client. So when we are beginning that process, as Chelsey says, like we make a big investment on our end to try to get that, so we have a good understanding of the business. The other one is I figure with transactions that we have to ask about. So things that don't have a receipt or things that don't have some sort of clarifying information, that's like a threefold, we wind up touching that transaction 3 more times than we would if we just had all the documentation we needed and it went straight in. So it increases, not having the documentation increases our time, but by extension, it increases, the amount of time you have on your end. Right. By the time we either pick up the phone or send you an email or send you a text or work through UNCAT, either way, we're wind up, instead of touching something once, maybe twice, we're touching it often 3, 4, 5 times to get that back and forth. And then, of course, the other big thing, we work really hard to get things out very rapidly. Our standard of getting reports out by the 10th of the month is 20 days ahead of every other accounting firm that I know of. And that's a pretty tight timeline. And if there's a lot of this back and forth, it makes that a lot harder.
Absolutely. And yeah, especially us talking about it, I don't want it to come across like we're whiny, like, oh, this is all for us. We don't want, like, this makes it more efficient for us. But I mean, you guys or clients don't like to answer little nitpicky questions either. Like, or, it's time consuming. You have better things to do in your business. So I like to think that it also does benefit you to just try to create the habit of putting more information rather than less in Dext the first time you use it or the first time you send it. So, well, with that, we'll get into some best practices for Dext. And so my preferred is to Dext while it is happening. So you run into the store, you buy something, take a picture at the till or when you get back to your truck. That's my preferred. I will let this rule kind of slide if you're someone that has designated office hours every week where you can set aside time to just, take pictures of all of the receipts from that week and send them in. But definitely on a weekly basis is what our goal would be. And another thing that is send the bill when it is received. You don't have to wait until it's paid. The payment will be applied when you write the check or pay it electronically. So this, especially for me, goes into things that are happening at the end of the month. So if you get a bill, and happening at the end of the month where you get it, but it's not due until the next month, I want that to be recorded in the period, the month that it was actually incurred. That's because I think otherwise, how do we even start to compare month to month or any business ratios when it's just whenever it's paid, right? And so if you receive bills, receipts, and statements electronically, then just forward them. I would just forward them right to your Dext email in address, which if you don't have, we can give that to you. But when you read or open the email, like, it's just, again, what John was going back to with how many times do you have to touch something, or transaction. It just, ends up being so much more efficient if you just deal with it at that time, the first time you do it. So, or better yet, have the vendor, if you get bills or receipts for for businesses that you have an account with, a charge account, have them email the receipt and have them CC your Dext email in address, so it goes directly there. And what else do I have?
Is real quickly, is everybody that works with us aware of the email in address? Stan, you guys use that fairly regularly. Hondo, I don't know if you use that. George,
about it.
yeah, okay. George, I think Lise uses that fairly regularly. Grant, do you use that? Grant must be napping. Oh, hang on. Excuse me. The invasion of the little people was just narrowly averted.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't familiar with that or don't know what yours is, then reach out to myself or your staff accountant after, and they can supply you with that.
I don't think many clients are doing that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I assume since I don't know what that is, I'm not using it.
Good assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one to talk to Josie about, Hondo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, that will make your life easier. So what that does is oftentimes if we're getting email or, we're getting an email with a statement or a bill in it, instead of you getting it and then forwarding it, you can just ask the vendor to CC it directly to Dext. You never, you don't have to touch it. You get a copy, we get a copy simultaneously. It makes life easier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do like that. Okay.
Okay.
How do you categorize it though? Like if there's multiple things, like we get sent, if we go to the feed store, we might buy things for one enterprise and not for another. And when I was trying to put them into Dext, I was, wanting to break it apart, but I was only able to choose one.
Mm-hmm.
Or do I just not know what I'm doing?
No, I think it's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's maybe a level of control on our part. But what you could do is maybe try to make a specification in the description or the notes.
Okay.
Is that what you would say, John?
Yeah, and actually that isn't our deal. Dext doesn't, for the mobile app, Dext does not allow line items, and
okay.
they're working on it. They tell me, but it's not there. Apparently, it's harder to do in the app than in the desktop app. The desktop program. One of the things actually the best for me is either that note in the comment section, like Chelsey just mentioned. I often just write on the receipt, so you go to Tractor Supply, right? The worst offender, Walmart, Amazon, Tractor Supply. You can buy anything there, right? You could buy feed, you could buy truck parts, you could buy a trailer, right? I mean, there's just all this stuff. So I just line by line write what, either category or class they are going to. So a lot of times if I go to buy feed, I might have one line of feed that's for chickens, one line that's for cows, one line that's dog food. And if you'll just write on the receipt and then take the picture, that to me is the fastest. I struggle, especially again, if I don't have my glasses with me, to get the little thing going on the,
You're dating yourself.
Yeah, I know Wally struggles with that also. There may be some others. Michaela, I'm sure you don't struggle with that, but one of those things. So either way is fine. Just and I like to go back and say that the most important thing is that we get the receipt. The second thing, and that's like 85% of the battle. The second thing is the info from you. A lot of times, like with Tractor Supply, Walmart, Amazon, there is enough detail that we can usually figure it out. But not all vendors are that way.
And to me, it becomes more like, at least for my clients, right? Most of the overheads are all just general ranch. So I'm not necessarily worried as much on the class for those. It's when it's feed, and it could be for the cow calf or the stalkers. So that's kind of where I see it the most, or where I care the most about the class. I hope you agree, John. Might be working out some internal kinks here too. I don't know.
We're always doing that. This is a constantly evolving process, just so you all know. Nothing about that is hidden, I hope. We're building the ship as we sail it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess to carry on, for any of the bills and statements you receive paper copies of, I would just, again, send them when you receive them, when you open the mail. You don't have to wait for it to be paid, I guess, to just clarify that again. If you write manual checks and like they're not printed out of QuickBooks, then send a copy to Dext when you write that check. Note, yeah, and we've already discussed this, noting the class in the description or written on the receipt for direct costs. So.
This is a place where it's fascinating to me. I find this with myself. When I am writing a check, I just have this wonderful optimism that I'm going to remember forever that I've written this check and what it is for. And literally the next day, my wife will say, "What was that check for $25 for?" And be like, "I wrote a check yesterday. What are you talking about?" Like, I don't remember that. That memo line can be huge. Enough notes there for somebody, to reconstruct that, or even yourself to be able to reconstruct that, is really helpful. The other thing that we have talked with some of our customers at different times of year when things are happening fast, we really need to be on top of where we are cash wise. If we are going to generate a reliable, uncleared checks report, and you're not writing all of your checks out of QuickBooks, we've got to have that check, the handwritten checks. And that makes a big difference. So, this time of year, we've got a lot of people that are selling cattle, paying off, maybe big bills, paying lines of credit, paying a mortgage, that sort of thing. We got to make sure we know where we are cash wise. And if we, I don't know about you guys, we have customers who have vendors that don't cash checks with any reliable regularity. And if you've got a $20,000 check out there that somebody hasn't cashed for, 2 months, it's easy for those things to be forgotten. And so please, as much as we can, document those and help us help you sort of remember that, hey, we've got this check out there that's still hanging. So let's make sure we catch it. Daniel, I think you were just dealing with one of these the other day with a tax account that was like a 9-month-old check for like $40,000 or something, right? It was a significant payment. And the guy just hasn't cashed it.
Yeah.
Must be nice. I'm pretty good at cashing checks sometimes, but I guess that guy doesn't need the money.
You got a 1099 for it though, so I don't know. That means
Right.
Yeah, so any other questions? I mean, I really, aside from a brief conclusion here, this is kind of going to be a short and sweet webinar.
We love it. We need one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess just to conclude.
I know Wally's got questions, so get through your materials. He's gonna.
Okay. You're gonna put me on the spot here, Wally. So
here I come. Yes.
Hang on a minute. Hang on.
Go ahead. I'm waiting on you, Chelsey.
Okay. We find that our clients that use Dext the most effectively are the ones that have integrated it into their record keeping habits. I've tried to quit saying record keeping processes because I think that is intimidating to a lot of people, and they think that their existing processes weren't working, and that is why they've hired Ranch Right. But whether we realize it or not, we all have habits with how we handle our receipts, and we want to try to optimize those habits while integrating Dext. So the best practices I discussed aren't set in stone. Like I said, we've had to learn to be flexible and may need to be tailored to your unique situation. And that's exactly what our goal is with the client integration specialist, is to help clients integrate Dext into their business so it can be used effectively. So by all means, reach out to me, reach out to your staff accountant, John, who I don't know, I'm kind of committing other people to this, but if you feel like you need help, kind of more specialized help than we're going to get to maybe in this webinar Q&A.
Love it. Great. Thanks, Chelsey. All right. So Wally, I know you've got some questions.
Yes, I have questions. One is, how hard is it to put categories in Dext? I've got a number of categories that I use quite a bit that is not in there.
Okay, so you would like some added.
Yep.
So, well, I don't want to speak, I know that John and Ranch Right have worked hard at creating a streamlined set of accounts. So I don't want to like speak out of turn here, John, if we can add some of Wally's his favorite accounts.
Yeah. No, we totally, give me an example, Wally, of what's not in there. I'm curious.
I checked my, whoa, you went away. On the marketing schools, I do. The
Yes.
income for that, I don't think's in there or something like that. You gotta realize
Okay.
it's late in the afternoon. I'm 72 years old and I got a cold, and I have never
Bragging
been
about your
noted for
grandson all day. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we can definitely adjust those. And so the rest of you know, we integrate Dext to your QuickBooks chart of accounts. So those two things should match reasonably closely. We do shut off a number of accounts that are extraneous, so that really are not things that we see receipts from. And if we have shut something off that is something you want to use, then we need to make sure and get that turned back on. So things like marketing school income in your case, right, which is like a whole other enterprise.
Yep.
If we have shut that off, we need to just get that turned back on.
Okay.
But basically, if you see it in QuickBooks, you should be able to see it in Dext. Now, I'm going to give you a perfect example. We do a fair market value adjustment category on your balance sheet, right, to change whatever fixed assets you have to a fair market value. We shut that off in Dext to sort of shorten the list of things that you choose from, because you're probably not going to be submitting that, a receipt, if you will, that goes into that category. But I can see actually in yours now, Wally, marketing school fee is turned off. I will turn it on, and then I'm going to reload it. And I want you to look here in a minute or two and see if you can see it.
Okay.
So good. I'm thrilled you bring that up. And if the rest of you are having those types of problems, now you may have one that you want to suggest to us that we're not going to use. But if it's in our sort of normal chart of accounts, those are ones that we again, it's definitely part of what we're trying to do.
And
So I may be misunderstanding. When I upload receipts, am I supposed to be? I don't fool with where it goes, because I'm not confident that I know where it goes. So I just put it in there and leave it alone. Is that
Perfect?
yeah, that's totally fine. It,
okay?
varies client to client, and
Yeah. I mean,
So-
that's, you guys know the chart of accounts and what goes where. I don't.
exactly.
And Hondo, that's part of you and Josie. Now you've been with us for a while. You and Josie have a relationship, right? There's a certain level of understanding that she's got in your business, right, where she's able to deal with that. Stan, it would be very similar in yours, right? I mean, you guys are we are having a conversation very regularly about those things. So if questions ever arise, that's easy to get to. But Hondo, with your stuff, it's usually fairly straightforward. Wally's, on the other hand, is a little more complicated, because we've got different locations, we've got different types of, multiple enterprises, multiple places, all that sort of.
Multiple partners, multiple everything.
Yeah.
I'm diversified.
I'm really loving this look you have with the microphone up on your forehead, Wally.
That's just that I'm 72, Chelsey. I really don't care. I've officially accepted I'm an old man, and you can just go to hell. No, it's terrible. I'm gonna get my cane out and saunter downstairs when this abuse is over with. And probably pour me a big bourbon and put the problems behind me.
Call it a
Barry
day.
Bauer.
Whoa, goodness gracious. I thought he looked kind of like he was about ready to fly an airplane, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, George, I I tried that once and I discovered that when you're soaring towards the ground, it's not a very good place to be. So I don't do that. So
I love it. All right, other questions? Wally, did you have more questions?
no, I think what I need to do is I need to get off my approval. But as soon as I get a receipt, it's got to go to Dext, period. You understand what I'm trying to say? And whether it's at Come and Go or the Quick Trip or wherever it is at Holiday Inn Express, just get them in there, and get them categorized. And what's your recommendations on keeping them?
I would say just put them in a folder and in a box or a filing cabinet somewhere and forget about it. So
Okay.
John mentioned the electronic, everything we have in Dext meets all of the IRS's specifications. So there is no need to keep them, but I know old habits die hard. So if you want to keep them, if you feel better doing that, Wally, then that's not a bad thing.
I have never spent too much time worrying about receipts, and stuff. That's looking backward, Chelsey. I'm a forward goer.
Okay.
I think
I let you guys mop up after me.
I don't know. I don't want to answer to Walter if I give him the wrong answer for you, Wally.
Don't you worry.
In what I think was the most sarcastic, partner Christmas gift ever, Dex sent out these boxes, and they had like pineapple chips in them or something. A couple years ago, they did this, and I thought, man, that's hysterical. But in the old days, when people would have a shoebox full of receipts, it was a bad thing. In my mind, if you're using Dext and then go back to a shoebox, not a problem at all, right? Because you're never planning to actually look there. The only reason you would look there is if something didn't properly upload to Dext, or both Dext and QuickBooks, were sort of lost from the cloud forever. And I imagine if either or both of those events happen, we have much bigger problems than whether or not you spent bucks at Exxon or not.
Yeah.
We're really new to this. Can I ask a question of how y'all remember what you have already put in Dex and what you have not? Because I'm trying to learn. There's some things I'm on my desktop and it says some are published, some are archived. And so I can kind of go back there and see, okay, I think there's like a light bill I put in the last time, but then what if I had multiples, but I don't remember which was the last? So is that where y'all go to? Is that screen?
It'll tell you if you've already got it on there. I do that all the time. It says this is already
awesome.
Oh, okay. So it'll recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
It's not 100%, but it's very good. So Dext, in my mind, has really done a great job of integrating AI. And the way it does it is primarily OCR, right? So it scans those receipts, tries to come up with the vendor, tries to come up with the date, an invoice number, and a dollar amount. And if it sees multiples, it will run a flag. Now, every now and then, Hondo, I've just run into this recently. I ordered 2 things back to back online. They were both the same price, same vendor, same day. I had to sort of push on Dext a little bit to get it to take that. But that's doable. But in the cases you're talking about, Danny, just keep uploading, and we will either catch them on our end or Dext will catch them.
Okay, sounds good. So the more uploading, the better.
More copy. Yeah, I'd rather have more copies than less.
Okay.
And Hondo, when you do that, it sends you either an email or a message in the app, right? Where it sends you an alert that says, hey, we got this one already.
Yeah, it'll give me when I pull it up in the kind of that main dashboard there,
yep,
the little sign at the bottom, whether it's needs review or is uploaded, whatever the little deal is. I can't remember what it says, but it says that. And the reason I know is because I have a folder, a shared folder in because my brother, he mostly does the purchasing of this, that, and the other, and he puts it in that shared folder. And then once in a blue moon, I take that folder and upload it all into Dext. And then I take that and I delete it all out of that folder so that I know that's already indexed. One time I forgot, and so I re-uploaded a lot of things that were already there, and it let me know that they were already in there.
Does that help, Danny?
I've seen a few clients writing on it, Dext it, so then they know that they've Dexted it already. And then,
That's what,
but
I had
hopefully
started doing that, okay, but I didn't know if there was a better way.
now I kind of understand why they do that. It must be hard to remember what you texted, but we'll catch it if it does come through twice eventually.
I've
Soon.
got a, well, excuse me, Daniel, go ahead. I've got
No,
a
you're good.
question on putting into Dext. I thought I put in a receipt on some steers we sold, and it was 101,000 something, but on Dext it says it's $10,814,935.
Well,
So what
hopefully
did I
Daniel
do?
can catch that.
Huh?
AI OCR is not perfect.
Well, as long as it goes.
And
That's why we don't let it do the bookkeeping.
Yeah, that might be why Metzger's in over his credit limit, huh? No, I'm just kidding. I will.
Bob's calling you all the time. You have spent too much, Olson. Knock it
Yep.
back. No,
That's right.
and those things will happen. So this is kind of a big topic in accounting in general, is that, you know, all accounting is going to go to AI. I think that's absolute BS. Dext has done a good job generally of getting the use of AI correct. I think that, but those things come through. And again, it's kind of on our team to say, yeah, Wally probably didn't spend 10 million on bull calves in Florida.
No,
right?
no, it can't. It was a check to me. I'm
Oh, even better.
It's right next to winning the lottery, you know.
Yeah, well, good luck. Try cashing it. See if it works.
I will maybe, you know.
This is a little trick I've learned. Whenever you all send me a check, I take it and I just write an extra 0 or 2 on there and see if the bank will take it. Hasn't worked yet, but we'll keep trying. Why it's best to pay your bills electronically. Hey, let me real quickly before we leave that, Hondo, you reminded me of another best practice, Chelsey, that we didn't talk about ahead of this. I am a huge fan of having everyone on your team have Dext on their phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think, oh, well, just the owner should do that. It does not cost us any extra to have multiple team members of yours on Dext. The subscription covers the company. So if you want 40 people on your team to all have Dext, anyone that has a company card or is making company purchases or a company checkbook, in my mind, should have Dext on their phone.
Yeah.
The other nice thing is we can see who submits. Dext tracks where receipts come from. And so when things are missing or when there's a question, it gives us good insight into who we should call. So Stan, if you or Eileen or Sarah submit a receipt, Josie can actually see that. And if it's you've done it, then she knows she can reach out to you. If it's Eileen, she can reach out to Eileen, etc. So that, like I say, that gives us some pretty good, it shortens up the process a little bit. So Hondo, if your brother needs Dext, let's get him on board there, create an account for him under your account. And then you could just have him submit those receipts if that makes your life easier.
So John, when you're talking, pardon me,
Go ahead.
when you're talking about your adding other team members, if we add them, does that, I mean, once you leave your core ownership group and you add a ranch manager, can they see everything that's on Dext, like all
No,
the
I believe,
payables and all that?
yeah, I believe we can only see what the team member submits. And I think we actually had somebody else ask about this as far as some settings, but generally they can only see what they submit. Chelsey, is that correct? Is that your understanding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But this is not a window into the whole business, right? They're not going to see everybody else's paychecks or anything like that. They are going to see what they've submitted.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Brandy, you got your hand up. I love this. How's that? Such a polite person.
I know. So if this is probably not a best practice, but if people, like I sometimes buy stuff for the ranch, can I submit my receipts through Dext and get reimbursed?
Great question.
Yes, Dex does have an expense report function. Right? That would be included in the app, right?
Correct. And it actually, there are a lot of expense reports apps out there, and Dext is actually excellent. We really have, Josie is the one that really pushed me into using it harder on a few of the clients she was working with, and it is really good. So you can basically get, if one employee, if you're as an employee, right, if you're paying little things here and there, gather them up at the end of the month, we create one expense report, submit it to the company, and then we can pay it back. Those receipts will all be categorized to the company correctly, right? So the preservation of what you bought, that stays true. And then the expense as a whole and the payment of that expense then is also correctly recorded.
But employees would
and
do
like I
once
say,
a month, not as they buy something.
I really like that. Well, you can do it as frequently as you want, but most of the time we do it with some sort of, we had a customer a while back that they had employees were doing that a lot. And so we just sort of synced it with their normal payroll period so that we would have those reimbursements coming out with their payroll check. But you could do it every day if you wanted to. It really doesn't matter.
But that
very good.
would generate,
Oh, sorry.
if they do it every day, that's going to generate a payment every day to the employee.
Not necessarily, because we can still accumulate those payments into a single payment, right? Where you would make a payment on like 7 of them. It just generates, just like your co-op, it would just generate multiple bills.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's really good. Treg, hang on. Treg had his hand up.
Yep. Chelsey, the 2 review and ready and all that. Do we do anything with that?
No, that's purely something that your staff accountant will do when they're publishing.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And let me add to that, Treg, you and Danny are both on the new end of this. When you first start with us, we ask you to upload a pile of stuff, right? That list is going to look like a mess for a while. Don't worry about it. As you get going, that'll clear out fairly regularly. But in the early stages, especially before we have your QuickBooks integration all set up, all we want you to do is just pile stuff in there.
Okay.
The other nice thing that some of our customers have figured out, once we get going and you'll see stuff disappear off that page, there is an archive that you can see of the things you have submitted. So if you want to look in the archive, you can. So for example, if we want to find out like, well, wait a minute, how much did I pay for that hay? You can usually open that up and go back and find that receipt. There's a pretty good search function in it. You can search by the dollar amount. You can search by the vendor name. You can search by what you bought. It's a multi-field search function that, like I say, I think works quite well. If you need help getting into that, we can do that in a one-on-one type session. But we've had a number of people that have found that archive feature on their phone really handy in real-time situations where people ask them about something, right? Awesome. Wally, you got another one?
Nope.
She's
Like
beat you down that badly, huh?
It's about, no, I just, I'm in fade time now. So tomorrow morning at 4:30 Central, if you want to, I'll gladly be up here and we'll visit about stuff.
We're gonna do it at 6 tomorrow.
What is 6 tomorrow?
No, nothing. I'm just teasing you, but that's
I was
the
going
time.
to say, well, now we got
Rocking and rolling.
3:30 tomorrow, right? Or something.
That's right.
like that.
Hey, real quickly, look on your app and see if that market school income shows up on your phone. Do that. All right. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? If
Like
you
Chelsey
haven't met
said,
them, we have please, Daniel.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, for direct cost of goods sold, that's the important thing. Put the class in the memo, or select the class that it's for, like it's for feed and stuff. And sometimes the vendor name isn't really clear on the receipt. So in that case, maybe just put the vendor name in the memo or something.
Yeah, and you see that too sometimes if you've paid by credit or debit card and that is stapled right over top of the vendor name
Hmm.
or part of maybe what's listed on the receipt. So that's just something to be aware of too when you're taking pictures. You can take multiple pictures that also are applied, just loaded as one cost as well. So that's like right at the bottom, I think, when you're going to add something, there's multiple and what exactly do they call? I guess
There's single, multiple, and then multiple pages. And I
Yeah.
do not recommend the multiple receipts. So you have an option to take one picture of multiple transactions. I don't recommend that. But sometimes you have like Napa is the one I always use. They give me a half page. And if I buy a bunch of stuff at Napa, then there are 2 pages. And then they give me a credit card receipt stapled to the upper left corner. I pull them all apart, put the 2 down, take one picture of those, and then take another picture of the credit card ticket. The credit card receipt. So I've got the total amount, I've got the card number that is paid with, I've got the vendor on the credit card receipt, and then I've got all of the individual items on there. So then I can say, oh yeah, this was repair and maintenance, this was advertising, this was, whatever those various items go into. But if you send in the receipt stapled across the transaction breakdown, and it's like, I'm a little hamstrung here. I know it's Napa, but I don't know what you actually bought.
So when I pull up on my app, I see single, multiple, and combine. And so
Yes.
the one you said not to use is the multiple.
Correct. Use the single or combined. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The multiple is doable, and if you really want to do it, do it. It is actually fairly difficult on our end to pull those apart. It's easier to just snap separate pictures.
So the combine would be like your Napa example. It's like it's multiple pictures, but it's all for the same.
Yeah, we have a number of people that send us their utility bills, right? Big irrigators, right? You got 5 or 6 pivots, you got house meters, all that. They will just, page 1 through 7, just keep going. And then when you send it in, we can scroll through all of the pages and see each meter. Yep. That's probably the most common one, is the utility deal. Real quick, if you don't know them already, we have a couple of other members of our team that are on here, and I don't think you have all met. So I would love it. Daniel is here. This is Daniel Strong. He's a CPA from South Dakota. He is our head of accounting right now. He is the supervisor for all of your staff accountants, and for some of you, he is your staff accountant. Jordan Steele is here. Jordan, I don't know if you're actually there or just listening. There he is, but he obviously works for us and for Ranching for Profit or Ranch Management Consultants. And then did I see? Yeah, Mimi is here too. Mimi lives in Idaho, ranches in Wyoming, teaches FFA and a whole bunch of other stuff, and works with a couple of customers down in Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, that area. Well, I guess Colorado now, right? So anyway, just wanted to introduce them if you have not met them.
Thanks, John.
And Michaela Griffin works for us part-time as a staff accountant also, right? For one client.
I think we could say that.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love it. All right. Any other questions? Jordan, do you or Mimi have any thoughts on this? Do you want anything you want to add? You guys have worked with Dext for quite a while now.
No, I really thought Chelsey did a great job pointing out, just make it part of your process, not your process.
That's
But
the real reason she's not saying processes, because it makes her friends uncomfortable.
Yeah. But it is, but both Chelsey and I we're both Atomic Habits fans, and if you just set yourself down and do it, it makes everyone's lives easier. And the more information you get us, the more accurate your reports are.
Yep. Very good. Mimi, you want to add anything to that?
I just think Chelsey did a great job, and I completely agree. The more accurate we can be in our data input, the easier it is for everybody's job. And when our clients, make a process of adding things on a specific date, then, you know, do it weekly or bi-weekly. Boy, it sure makes it so we can stay up and keep our cash flows and stuff set up properly and in a good time frame. So it's a great tool, and it's very well used when used properly.
Daniel, you want to add anything on there?
Just like some of the really people who use Dext really well, you often see like random body parts in the picture. So they're just taking the pictures in their car and they're wherever they are. So
Yeah,
Be
so
careful
maybe,
what's in the
yeah,
background.
maybe be aware where you're dexting from.
Another one, Daniel, I think of with a couple of your clients. I think, Jordan, this has come up with a few of yours. One thing to pay attention to also is lighting. It oftentimes, like I have my flash on my camera often shut off. You might make sure if you need the flash, please use it, but you might make sure if you're in a semi-dark room or taking the pictures in the evening, sometimes they'll be a little hard to look at. So you might just double check that the images are visible. We have one client in particular does a lot of his uploading at night. He's a fast moving guy. He's always on the move. And when he takes them, because it's low light, the lens stays open, you know, the exposure is longer, and then the image is almost always blurry. So if you can, a little more light really helps. And again, just take a quick look at the contrast, make sure we can distinguish the background from the foreground.
I noticed a lot of my receipts looked blurry, and I was hoping that was an internet issue on my end, but y'all just let me know, because I was hoping it was going to get better, but I wasn't sure. So
And sometimes it is, right. You're looking at a low res info because your internet is just kind of fuzzed it out. We'll let you know if you're consistently low light or consistently blurry. Awesome. Anything else? I'm going to add one more thing. We periodically get asked about the fact that QuickBooks has a receipt capture app. They do, and it is awful. And if you would please never use that app, I would greatly appreciate it. Every now and then people try to start using it because, you know, QuickBooks kind of pushes it. QuickBooks had the opportunity to buy Dext when it sold a number of years ago. They chose instead to develop their own app. I really wish they had bought Dext. Dext is not only has its own wonderful functionality, but its integration with QuickBooks works better than QuickBooks' own app. So if that ever comes up, you know, it's kind of humorous. That's my stance on it. And Brandy, you're still here. Those of you that are, you know, either not clients yet or are doing something else with other businesses, Dext is available to civilians. You can just show up and buy the Dext app. You can pay for the service. And again, if you're using QuickBooks in another business or anything like that, I strongly recommend it.
I was going to ask quickly, like, is it very hard for our office guy to learn?
No,
No,
I don't think so.
Part of what makes it so great, those of you that have used it, Danny, you're a relatively new user on it. I mean, was it terribly hard to figure out? It's a little clunky right at the beginning, and then 5 minutes, you're good, right?
no, I think Kathy and I probably had it figured out in 5 minutes, and then I just probably, you know, had a couple more questions, and then I just started taking pictures, and it really was easy. I think the only part was when I was trying to figure out how to, you know, categorize things that had multiple directions that they could go in. So, and then y'all just cleared that up. So no, it was very easy.
I wasn't worried about our employees so much as our like controller office guy. He'll be able to figure it out pretty well how to take the information we send him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The back end is also spectacular, I think. Again, of all the apps, of all the tech apps we use, this one just it's very well done.
Sweet.
And it's nothing fancy. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's not like, it doesn't look like rocket science on the top. It just works. So, Danny, real quickly, looking through your images, stuff looks good to me. The lighting level is fine. The blurry, there was one a little fuzzy, but I can read it. So it works out great.
Okay, good deal. I'll just try to keep that lighting better. Thank you.
Yeah. The lighting is what makes the huge difference. It's the low light in the evening. If you're taking the picture in the corner or something, that's what gets it. Probably the same with your like remote deposit for the bank.
You
Cool.
just hire a professional photographer to snap your Dext images for you. So
And we don't want to see your spouse in the background. All right, good. Anything else? George, you got any questions or comments?
Not at the moment. No, I mean, I use it every once in a while. You know, I'm not the one that's entering everything, but it's pretty simple to use. I do it right in my truck after I leave somewhere. So
Yeah.
That
Very
was
good.
actually a question I had. I wondered how many of y'all just snap it right away and how many of y'all wait and try to do it bi-weekly. What seems to work better?
Oh, Wally's muttering over there. Got his microphone off.
There you go.
I don't know that Wally's our shining example, is he? No. I just like to tease Wally. Sorry, but
Maybe Olson's talking on the phone about something else. I don't know. He might not be listening to us.
He might have muted us. He might be done with us.
Nope, I'm not
There he
done
is.
with you, but I didn't want you to be bothered with all my problems in life and my cattle business, so.
Right. Danny, I think that the answer to your question kind of goes back to what we've been saying is your own habit. So we just want to find something that's going to work for you. And my preference would be to take the picture, send it in while you're doing it. But if that just doesn't seem to work for you, then weekly is fine with us.
Okay.
For me, the habit really became literally do it right when the receipt is coming out of the pump. I'm opening the app, I take the picture, and then I'm done with it. Because I am the worst person for forgetting what I've done and what I haven't done. Right? I can't remember if I wrote a check for $25 yesterday, or even if I wrote a check. If I live where the wind is regularly howling, right? So if I've got it on my dashboard in my pickup and I open the door, it very well could just leave. So if I kind of have a practice where if I'm checking out of a restaurant, Stan, I think we've been together, right? We eat, we take the picture, we leave, right? And then it's done. And if I lose it from then forward, I don't really care. Again, that doesn't work for everybody, but I've always got my phone with me. Most of us do all the time. So just get it done, be done with it. But that is the establishment of a habit, as we've talked a number of times about, right? This is the James Clear process. Use that linking deal that he talks about in Atomic Habits to create that linkage. Now I know every time I'm getting gas, I need to be opening the app on my phone, so I'm ready to go. Sorry, Wally.
Well, the only better thing I can see a habit to start is travel with you and just have you pay all the bills.
Well, you've seen how that works. How has that worked out when we travel together?
How's that work? Yeah.
You can ask my wife. I always forget my wallet. Like, oh crap, I'm sorry. I would have paid, but I left my wallet at home. It's terrible.
We're probably gonna try that because hopefully y'all will be helping with my husband's business, or what we call his business.
Right.
And that is one thing we always have the intention. I say, where are the receipts? And he has the intention to get them to me, and I have the intention to go through them. And they're always wadded up in piles, and they almost never get gone through. So doing it immediately, that just removes that entire process. So I think that's what I was looking for with that question, because I love the idea of, I'm so organized, I'm going to get them all back to the desk, and then I'm going to, go through them all. And that's kind of how it started, but that's because everything was already here. But as going forward, like just getting it done is probably going to be the most effective process of actually, getting it done, just doing it right away. So at least we're going to try that for a while.
Right. And again, I don't know if you have noticed, you can't see this. This is a receipt. Credit card receipts now are often using this garbage soy ink because it's environmentally friendly. If you leave this on your dashboard for about a week, it will be blank. This is another serious problem. If you put it in your pocket and it's getting rubbed on, the ink literally will just rub off onto your fingers. So that's another reason in my mind for just take the picture right then. Because I carry this little magnetic wallet, right? So I just clip the receipts under the magnet. I have had it to where at the end of the week, half the receipt is erased, right? Because that magnet just moves in my pocket a little bit and it just peels that ink right off of there. Saving the world is important, but the IRS is not that sympathetic. I'm convinced it's some sort of conspiracy. They're just gonna like, oh, sorry, all your receipts are blank. You don't get any of those deductions. Anyway, cool.
Well,
Anything else?
Thank you, everybody. I feel, Chelsey, I'm ready to march forward, you know.
Well, good.
Onward, Christian soldiers, you know, here I come. Go see, get ready, you know.
Very
that'll
good.
That'll last till about 6:30 tonight. You know.
Thank you, everybody.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you joining us. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, Brandy,
Yeah.
for coming. Thanks, Danny. Great to visit with all of you guys. George, have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Chelsey.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming, Wally. I appreciate it.
Anything for you, John, you know that. Just the way it's
I
been.
know.
And we're on with Dawn Day tomorrow.
Yes.
I will try to get there.
Sounds awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it will be interesting. So very
It
good.
will
We'll see
be
you guys.
interesting. Okay. See you guys.
Thank you again, everybody. Boom.
Thank you.
You bet.